How has your illness affected your self-image? Chapter 8: The Power of Vulnerability: Why Opening Up is Not Weakness. For many men, vulnerability is seen as something to be avoided at all costs. From a young age, society and culture have taught that vulnerability is synonymous with weakness, and this belief has become deeply ingrained in the way men view themselves and their emotional lives. However, as we explore in this chapter, the reality is quite the opposite. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it is a powerful source of strength, connection, and healing. It is through vulnerability that men can break the cycle of emotional suppression and begin to heal their mental and emotional wounds. 1. Redefining vulnerability. The first step in embracing vulnerability is redefining what it really means. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as being synonymous with fragility or lack of control. In truth, vulnerability is about being open and honest about one's feelings, needs, and fears. It's the willingness to expose the raw parts of yourself, to admit that you don't have all the answers, and to ask for help when needed. 2. The strength in asking for help. One of the most difficult but transformative aspects of vulnerability is asking for help. For many men, there is a deep-seated belief that they should be able to handle everything on their own. Asking for help is often seen as a failure, something that weakens their sense of self. But in reality, reaching out for support, whether from friends, family, or a professional, is one of the most empowering things a man can do for his mental health. Asking for help breaks down the barrier of isolation. It allows men to share their burdens, gain perspective, and realize that they are not alone in their struggles. Vulnerability, in this case, means acknowledging that you are human and that you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your own. It's an invitation to receive support, guidance, and comfort, which ultimately strengthens your emotional resilience. Vulnerability requires courage. It's not about being weak or incapable, rather, it's about being honest with yourself and others about who you are. In a world that often values strength and self-sufficiency above all else, showing vulnerability is an act of bravery and a powerful tool for emotional growth. 3. The healing power of expressing emotions. For years, many men have been taught to suppress their emotions, particularly those considered negative like sadness, fear, or pain. This emotional suppression may initially feel like it offers control, but in the long run, it causes more harm than good. Suppressed emotions don't go away, they build up and manifest in physical and mental health problems, often leaving men feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or depressed. Opening up and expressing emotions is a critical part of healing. It allows men to process their feelings in a healthy way, reducing emotional tension and preventing the buildup of unresolved emotions. When men express emotions, whether through talking, writing, or other forms of release, they give themselves permission to feel and process what they've been holding inside. This emotional release can be incredibly cathartic and can help break the cycle of emotional numbness and distress. Vulnerability isn't about spilling out every emotion all at once. It's about taking the time and space to identify your feelings and express them in a way that feels safe and healthy. This may mean speaking with a trusted friend, journaling your thoughts, or seeking professional therapy to process deep-rooted emotions. Whatever form it takes, emotional expression is key to emotional health. 4. The role of vulnerability in relationships. Vulnerability is the cornerstone of healthy, meaningful relationships. Whether in romantic partnerships, friendships, or family dynamics, emotional openness fosters connection, trust, and intimacy. When men open up to their loved ones about their struggles, fears, and desires, they invite others to do the same. This shared vulnerability strengthens bonds and creates an environment of mutual support. In romantic relationships, vulnerability is essential for creating a sense of closeness and emotional intimacy. Men who suppress their emotions may find it difficult to connect with their partners on a deeper level, leading to emotional distance and misunderstandings. On the other hand, men who embrace vulnerability are more likely to experience fulfilling, emotionally rich relationships. By sharing their feelings, they allow their partner to understand them more fully and offer support in times of need. Vulnerability in friendships is equally important. Male friendships, in particular, can often suffer from the pressure to conform to stereotypical notions of masculinity. Many men feel they must appear strong and emotionally invulnerable in front of their friends, which can prevent them from truly connecting. However, when men allow themselves to be vulnerable with their friends, they build deeper, more authentic connections. Vulnerability invites compassion, empathy, and mutual understanding, qualities that are essential for strong, lasting friendships. 5. Overcoming the fear of vulnerability. Despite its many benefits, embracing vulnerability is not easy. For many men, the fear of being judged or rejected for expressing emotions is overwhelming. There is a deep-rooted fear that opening up will expose them as weak or unworthy. This fear is often exacerbated by societal expectations that men must be stoic, unemotional, and self-sufficient at all times. To overcome this fear, it is important to remember that vulnerability is not a weakness. It is a strength. It takes immense courage to be open about your feelings, especially in a world that discourages emotional expression. The more men practice vulnerability, the easier it becomes. Over time, they learn that vulnerability leads to greater emotional freedom, improved mental health, and stronger relationships. It's also essential to find safe spaces where vulnerability is encouraged and valued. This could mean seeking out a supportive friend or family member, joining a men's group, or working with a therapist. These spaces offer an opportunity to be vulnerable without fear of judgment, allowing men to process their emotions in a supportive and understanding environment. 6. The long-term benefits of vulnerability. Embracing vulnerability has far-reaching benefits for both mental and physical health. Men who open up about their emotions are more likely to experience lower levels of stress, reduced anxiety, and improved emotional well-being. Vulnerability allows men to release pent-up emotions, which can prevent mental health issues like depression or anxiety from developing. It also enables men to build stronger, more fulfilling relationships with others, leading to a greater sense of connection and belonging. In the long term, vulnerability fosters emotional growth. It encourages self-awareness, self-acceptance, and emotional resilience. Men who practice vulnerability are more in touch with their emotions, which allows them to navigate life's challenges with greater ease and confidence. Vulnerability empowers men to live more authentically, to embrace their true selves, and to connect with others in a more meaningful way. 7. The journey toward vulnerability. The journey toward embracing vulnerability is a process, not a one-time event. It requires time, patience, and self-compassion. It's important to recognize that vulnerability does not mean spilling every emotion at once or being overly exposed. Instead, it means making a conscious effort to be more emotionally honest and open, to allow yourself to feel and to reach out for support when needed. The key to embracing vulnerability is taking small, manageable steps. This could mean starting by sharing a feeling with a close friend, talking about a difficult experience with your partner, or seeking professional help to work through emotional challenges. Every step you take toward vulnerability is a step toward greater emotional freedom and well-being. Conclusion: vulnerability as a source of strength. In the end, vulnerability is not a sign of weakness but a powerful source of strength. It allows men to process their emotions, build deeper relationships, and break free from the damaging cycle of emotional suppression. By embracing vulnerability, men can heal, grow, and connect with themselves and others in ways that lead to lasting happiness and fulfillment. In the next chapter, we will explore practical strategies for incorporating vulnerability into everyday life, as well as ways to create a supportive environment where emotional openness is welcomed and valued.